Welcome to Never a Foul. I'm joined here by you could say maybe a weekly panel. Obviously, Greasy's here, but I think Rory's a fantastic addition because we saw a little something last week. Greasy got put in a corner, you know, I can't lie, man. He got put in a little bit of corner. He wasn't that too press resistant, so we brought Rory back because this guy's a hypocrite, yeah? So we're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea later on. We're going to first talk about Arsenal from Rory's perspective and an honest perspective, and we'll try to break it down as much as possible without looking at it as an agenda or anything alongside that. And also Man United, Gravenberch, links, Amrabat as well on top of that, and anything else surrounding football currently. But if you haven't liked the video yet, make sure you like the video. Obviously, it helps. You know how it goes. We say this every stream. If you ain't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Yada, yada, yada. But yeah, man. What are we saying, guys, man? What are we saying? Hypocrite FC.
Listen, how am I a hypocrite? God. Say it, Cass.
No, I'm asking how you are first. You know, hypocrite.
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Obviously, I'm still disappointed about the loss to West Ham. You know, I was confident when I come on here on Sunday. I'm not going to take that back. We should have won the game, you know. But we moved. We've got Luton on Friday. So, you know, good opportunity to bounce back and you know, prove the doubters wrong, innit? You know, I'm seeing our players coming out saying, yeah, man, we're going to bounce back, all of these things, bro. Show me on the pitch. Yeah, all of that. Show me on the pitch on Friday.
You better win that game 4-0 minimum.
Oh, we must.
You must.
We must.
we all we've been hearing from Chelsea fans, including you. Oh, we must. You didn't. What you saying, Rory?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Obviously, 6 points from 2 games in the top 3. Happy days. Can't complain.
Bro, Don, proving the doubters isn't winning against Luton and Bournemouth. It was winning against Liverpool. It was winning against, I'm sorry, it was winning away against West Ham. I'm being honest. Listen, you know me now, season starts, I'm talking about the football, I'm talking about honesty, right? Winning against Forest, winning against Bournemouth, and winning against Luton is a must. It is improving the doubters. It's if you don't win these games, I know it's too early.
Do you know why I said that, Mo?
Big questions have to be asked, right?
If you know why I said that? Yeah, you're right. But the reason why I said prove the doubt was wrong is because obviously people are questioning Chelsea's firepower. So I need a bit of firepower on Friday. You know, prove that you can actually bury the ball into the back of the net. You know what I'm saying? So the firepower question is relevant, bro. Because I've got the same question mark.
Be realistic.
You're right.
Realistic. Even if you play youngsters up top, I would put my money on Chelsea winning at home against Luton, even at least with a 2-goal margin, right? Like, bro, proving the doubters wrong with the first 2 games. I guess we'll see you play Aston Villa after these 3 games. It's after the international break, if I'm not mistaken. But it's looking okay for Chelsea. But our problem is that you guys promised us a lot of things, but we kept telling you otherwise. And you guys didn't believe us.
We'll talk about it in more detail.
Oh, you want to talk about Chelsea? Okay,
I've always said that my biggest question mark is our attack, and you know that as well, Mo. We've spoken about Chelsea 1,000,001 times. I've always said my biggest question mark is the attack. So
I guess we'll talk about it.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone get rude to the panelists? I told you, look, big up Terry in his platform. He doesn't mind it too much, but anyone that gets rude to anyone in the panel, like Sacanelli, you're getting blocked, mate. This isn't terrace chat. Sorry. But other than that, man, we might as well just dive straight into this.
Yeah, but before we do that, there's 400 people here. Hit that like button. And also, guys, check out the membership. It is something not a lot of channels give you in the membership, in the community. If you become a member, you'll have a chance for an hour show with us, with a panel, to have your say. We had it last Sunday. Silver, get 1 chance. Gold members get 3 chances. If you have a channel, if you want to promote yourself, this is your chance. Check out the membership in the description, of course, because it adds a lot to our channel, and also it's a big chance for you. So you come in and chat with me with my agendas, as you guys say.
By the way, I enjoyed that show. I enjoyed that show, man. That panel, it's like they've been doing it for a minute. I really enjoyed that show. Who was it? Martin. Who else was on there?
And
Ed-
Winter Soldier.
Okay, yeah. Now that was a good show, man. Good show.
It's
Yeah,
very
our
good having members here with us. But anyway, go ahead.
context Mo, which I believe is still Mo. It's just he's got a VPN put Egyptian because it's like he doesn't want to support the channel that much in dollar. So he says Chelsea's getting relegated. All right, come on, man. It goes hand in hand for what
That's
Mo's
not me,
doing.
Don. But yes.
That's your evil twin, Mo.
But yeah, man, let's dive straight into the Arsenal game. What did you make out of it, Rory? Let's
Yeah.
say the first half.
Obviously, like the final half an hour was a lot more uncomfortable than it needed to be. But we still didn't concede that many chances even after we were down to 10 men. And overall, I'm quite happy. Like, I know we've had 2 games and people are saying like we're starting slowly and maybe teams have sussed us out a bit and Arteta's changes aren't working. But actually, I looked back at, we played Crystal Palace away on the opening game of last season. At Selhurst Park, and we won 2-0, and everyone was like, that was when, everyone was impressed with Arsenal, and this was a new Arsenal, and everyone was really excited, and the fan base were excited. And yet after last night, there's quite a lot of negativity, and in reality, our performance last night was far more controlled and far more dominant than the 2-0 win last year. We had double, our XG was double last night from last year. Palace had lower XG, we had way more possession, and so I feel like people are getting a bit carried away with negativity that I think is unnecessary. And obviously the red card made a big difference, and it was a joke of a red card. But yeah, in general, I'm still quite confident.
Did you watch it yesterday, Don? So
Yeah, I watched the game.
Did you agree with that? More controlled, more like way better compared to last year?
Listen, in that first half, Palace had a good shape. I was saying this last season. I said, like, teams are going to respect you guys now because you've earned that respect because of how you performed last season. So they're going to set up completely differently to what you got last year. Declan Rice, I think he was quite good. He was trying to make things happen. Trying to move the ball quite quickly. Martinelli, and Saka, they weren't that great on the wings. To be fair, they weren't providing that width that was needed. I don't know why Martinelli kept trying to chop in. He kept trying to, instead of opening up the pitch, because that pitch is quite small. He kept trying to close down too much space, and it just wasn't working. And it just wasn't looking as fluid as what we're used to seeing from Arsenal. Obviously, I know you lot are missing a big player in Jesus, who, teams like Palace, you want a Jesus to, pick up the ball in midfield, drive with it, open up a little bit of space. I felt like Eddie had to create his own luck. If you remember that shot that he had when it hit the post, very, very good bit of skill, by the way. If that went in, that would have been a really good goal, man. And yeah, apart from that, you weren't really creating nothing. Apart from Declan Rice, that little flick that he did to, if you remind me, Rory, who was it that he passed to? In and around the box.
Nketiah, chipped over.
Yeah, and he tried to chip it. Yeah, there wasn't really much fluidity in the first half. And then when you went down to 10 men, you were kind of holding on a little bit. So listen, you move. It's a new shape. There's new players. You're trying to build on it. I think Arsenal will get better. When Zinchenko came on, there was a little bit of like play there for I would say probably about 5 minutes. They were popping it around a bit, and it looked like Arsenal of old. So when Zinchenko comes in, it'll be a big difference to them. But I think listen, as an Arsenal fan right now, I'll be happy that I walked away with the 3 points and started off the season like this, because it's only going to get better. They've still got players to come back now, but I'm not going to lie and say that it was an amazing performance. I wouldn't even say it was dominant, in all honesty. I think Palace gave you a game, in all honesty. And in the end, it was really good for you to hold on, because Arsenal of old, listen, you guys would have probably conceded 2 goals when that happened. So it's a good start to the season. Let's be real. It's a good start, but you guys need to pick it up really quickly, because in my opinion, if you play like that against the big boys, yeah, I don't know if you'll win the game. I don't think it's sustainable.
No, but you know what's mad? You say about the big boys, but when you deep all the big boys that have played, your Man United, Chelsea, if you want to count that, Tottenham, even Newcastle, maybe, even though they had a very good start to the season, Man City, like a lot of these, I think we've spoken on all of these guys and talked about their performance in one shape or form or another. No one's really impressed to think like they're gonna go blow teams away. Like
the thing is, though, Cass, it's like
City are inevitable. Like, don't get me wrong, but like we're gonna criticize anything we can because you can't really criticize them. You look at Chelsea trying to do their thing, and with all the money spent and all the players coming in and yet to come in, and obviously injuries as well. We thought that you'd do something against West Ham. It didn't happen. Man United, very underwhelming out of all the lot. Tottenham, promising, but you know, there's still gaps. Like that, you can still point the gaps out and think another team that's clinical will batter them. And then you look at Liverpool and you look at their first performance, you know, against you guys, and then even against Bournemouth. Even against Bournemouth, it didn't look great, but it was enough at the end of the day, and the quality brought them through. You know,
no, I get what you're saying, but I feel like with Arsenal's current midfield, where you've got Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard, I don't see Newcastle holding back. You know, like playing a low block the whole game. I definitely don't see us playing a low block against them. Man City, same thing there. I don't see them playing a low block. Man United, I know you've got them in 2 weeks. I don't know, by then your midfield might have changed. So I don't see the bigger teams going up against Arsenal with a negative game plan. I think they'll take it to them, especially if they play that midfield. Because for me, as much as Declan Rice was man of the match, I still think Partey offers them a little bit more in that position, in that holding six. And yeah, if listen, I'm hoping when we play Arsenal, they play that midfield of Odegaard, Havertz, and Rice, in all honesty. Because so far they've played two teams that have been quite negative in a way. That's why I'm saying when it comes up against the other teams, I don't think that how they're playing now will be sustainable. In all honesty, just because I don't think it will be as negative.
Well, Arsenal have the easiest fixtures in the beginning of the season. Like they have Fulham home, Man United home. It's better than Man United away. They have Everton, Spurs at home. I'm expecting Arsenal to win all these games if they want to win the league.
You said they got the easiest run.
They do. Out of all top six.
Man City do. Man City's got
Man
Fulham,
City? I thought.
Look. They got Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham, Forest, Wolves. We're talking about bottom of the table type teams right now.
Okay. Maybe I missed Man City.
And they got Arsenal away after the break.
The thing about it, until even that game, Arsenal don't have any, like they have only Man United at home and they have Spurs at home. So they don't have any big teams away from home until they face Man City. And even then they face Man City at home. So this is why I think when we did the preseason, we said Arsenal have the easiest fixtures. I'm expecting them to at least win all these games other than one game, maybe draw the Man United or the Spurs. I still think that they will batter Spurs because Spurs have very wide defense. My problem with Arsenal is that they're not as fluid, but there are other positives. If you want to talk the positives, I said a lot of negatives yesterday, but the positives are number one, Declan Rice looked like he's slotting in right away. Very, very good. Can play the progressive passing as well. Ben White is comfortable at center back. Tomiyasu yesterday defensively wasn't bad. Even the yellow card, he doesn't deserve the second yellow or the first one, in my opinion. Declan Rice look okay. Eddie Nketiah doesn't look out of place as a striker, even though he doesn't. But the chances are created. These are the positives. Thomas Partey inverting from the right back. I think it looked good. The negatives are Arteta is stubborn and he wants to shoehorn. And I said that yesterday. He wants to shoehorn Havertz. If you remove Havertz from that lineup and you put Trossard, Arsenal win that in the first half 2-3-0, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. People don't want to see it, but as the same as say about Mount. But is this sustainable? I don't think so. As Don says, it's not fluid. It's isolating Martinelli, who didn't do a lot of work on that left side. When he was left one-on-one, so when he was left one-on-one once, when Tomiyasu overlapped, he dribbled all the way to the line, if you remember that ball, once, which is what he did last year. Because Tomiyasu overlapped, but because Havertz doesn't support him on the left, like Odegaard supports Saka on the right side. So Saka and Odegaard from the right side can get shots because it's either they cut inside or go to the line. But Martinelli needs support. In my opinion, that's the problem with Arsenal, that Arteta needs to stop being stubborn, play your best players. Even Smith Rowe would look better than get Havertz to play, but like sometimes you don't have to play the guy every minute. This is my point, to be honest.
Do you think that with Havertz right now, obviously Arsenal have injuries, Timber's out, and like you said, Mo, they've had some easy fixtures. Do you think that's a big reason why they're starting Havertz right now? Is kind of just they have to start by default.
Risk. So he's putting the team at risk. Like against Forest, they could have drawn that game. And in this race, 2 points are very valuable, especially in these fixtures. Like yesterday, I thought that they could have drawn the game. Yes, they created chances. They weren't clinical. They had 2 chances in the first half. Eddie Nketiah's one where they hit the post, which was from a mistake. by Palace, and the second one is Eddie Nketiah trying to chip the keeper, which is, I think, as a striker, he should be finishing that. But other than that, I cannot remember at the back of my head a big chance that Arsenal created yesterday, even though there was a very low block from Crystal Palace. Rory, do you remember any other chance?
Yeah, 2 minutes in, and this is where I think Havertz actually did really well. 2 minutes in, Havertz fed Martinelli, who was in loads of space, and he took 2 or 3 touches too many. I thought that was a really good opportunity. And
I actually tried to look for that chance. I missed the first 2 minutes of the game, and I tried to go back, and no highlights showed that chance.
Yeah, Martinelli should have buried that.
You're the second one who told me that.
Yeah.
Martinelli should have buried it. Havertz, yeah, he made a good decision to play it to him.
Yeah, I think
Martinelli, yeah.
I think a few things. That the fluidity, I think part of that is because teams treat us with so much more respect now than they did at the start of last season. So the first half of last season, teams would play quite a high line against us, and players like Martinelli especially could capitalise on that. And I think the low block, especially like Palace were playing a 4 and then a 5, and all of them were sat in. And I think Martinelli particularly struggles with that. I'd probably look at bringing Trossard in for Martinelli rather than for Havertz, because Trossard and Havertz played really well together in pre-season. I think some like fluidity will come, I hope. And actually, like Don was saying, the bigger teams that won't play as negatively, I'm excited for that, because it will free up Arsenal's attack. And I think we'll start scoring more goals. But for now, I just think we've got to take, 6 points from 2 games where arguably we haven't played that well. And you look at the teams around us, the other sort of big 6, big 7 or whatever, and most of them have dropped points. So it's not a bad start.
I got one thing to point out. I think the new system that he's trying to work, I don't think it's going to work too tough against low blocks anyways. I think against bigger teams, it's probably going to be fantastic to play. I think it's more controlled. And you can have an element of break, like transition. But I look at this Arsenal team, and we keep complaining about the Havertz, and I thought he did okay yesterday. Like, he just done his 8 role, nothing great. I thought if anything's going to get criticised, it's the way Schlupp had a lot of freedom down the right through Partey and that. I look at it like this: they didn't have no Gabriel on the pitch. They had no Zinni on the pitch. They had no Jesus on the pitch, and you could argue, I think so. That's Gabriel, Zinni, and Jesus. And I might be, you could even say sometimes even a Trossard here and there, whatever. So the fact they went away from home with, you could say more of a second stringish team, half like some subs. Let's call them subs, yeah. Let's call them free, like, I don't know, rotational players. They went away to Palace, who is tough to beat sometimes. I think other teams have joy against Palace more or less, like the Tottenhams and whatever. But for Arsenal's perspective, you look at it and think like they still got it over the line. So that's the way I look at it. Like, that's why you got to probably give City a little bit more credit against their Newcastle, because when you think about it, they had the bare minimum of bones against a tough Newcastle opposition. Considering the players that they've lost over transfers, no one that they brought in, and etc. etc. So you have to kind of praise it that way. Like, he found a way to win, and they should have won by more than 1 goal. You can't really tell me Palace had any clear-cut chances. Maybe Edouard could have done better with anything, but they struggled to create anything and look for penalties. Rather than anything else. If that was a penalty for Eze, that's soft. I've seen him given. Szoboszlai was given for that kind of thing, but it's not enough for me. So I feel like when it comes to a more expansive teams like Brighton and stuff, playing that sort of system probably won't work away at Brighton, but maybe at home, because they like to play through the flanks. And if you saw anything through that and learned anything through Palace, is that Palace had a lot more joy down the flanks, but had nothing cutting edge, and that's it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I think that's what the thing I'm most happy about is defensively. Like you said, I don't really think Palace created a single sort of big opportunity that I can even think of. Even once we were down to 10 men, crowd was behind them. And yeah, in previous seasons, you feel like Arsenal would have buckled under that. And if anything, a lot of the players stepped up. Declan Rice stepped up. Gabriel came on and stepped up. And so I think there's positives to take in that sense as well.
I know who your clear captain was yesterday without the armband, in all honesty, watching that game. Let's be real.
Yep.
Boy, Rice.
That's what he's coming to do. Yep. And that's the thing, and that's his 3rd competitive game for Arsenal. And he already feels like that sort of leader. And I think, Ødegaard's a different type of leader. But having that presence in midfield in such a, because he's all over the pitch. And I think of all of those kind of big midfield signings so far, he's definitely shown that he's worth the money.
What did you think of Odegaard yesterday, Rory? Because obviously he had a good season last year. He put up some serious numbers. I love Odegaard, by the way. Definitely has a potential to be world class. But what did you think of his performance yesterday? And what do you expect from him this season? Do you think it's going to be the same as last year, or do you think it's going to improve on it?
Yeah, I think he didn't have a bad game, I didn't think. But he's lacking. I think the new system doesn't really suit him. The new system kind of doesn't suit a lot of the attackers. So the one good thing that he, Saka, and Ben White had a really good little trio going for pretty much the whole season, which massively involved Ben White overlapping, which we don't get anymore. So that's one kind of outlet that Odegaard's lost. And the other is that a lot of his goals came from late runs into the box where Martinelli or Saka had taken it to the byline and pulled it back. And again, we're not seeing as much of that anymore. So it feels like he's got less influence over games. Obviously, he had a decent shot from outside the box that was tipped over the bar, scored the penalty. But yeah, he's not having as big an impact, I don't think, on games this season so far. But it's only 2 games.
It was kind of yesterday when you deep it. It's kind of a carbon copy of what Pep was trying to do, but this time you don't have it. You don't have enough to feed a decent enough striker to finish the goals. No, like City will create 5-6 chances. And sometimes you need more chances to bury a game. But the difference is you got Haaland to only need 1 or 2 touches and bang, it's done. Like Burnley, done.
Yeah.
And then he's not that finisher. And I think it does limit the what's it called? It does limit the wingers more than it does the striker. I thought Nketiah, if you had someone that's just a little bit more clinical there, then it would make way more sense. Like maybe even if it was Ivan Toney. If Ivan Toney was there, they would have won 3-0 in that first half when you really think about it. So that's just a little bit like that. I agree. I think if you're an Arsenal fan and wanting to, I don't know about you, Mo, but even as just a normal perspective, just watching as a viewer, you'd think you're more used to Arsenal being way more direct and more electric rather than more, passive and stuff like that.
Well, but Don said that the surprise element is gone, Cass. Surprise element is gone. People now know what to expect. That's why Arteta is trying to change the way they play a little bit, changing the system.
I don't think so, man. I think even sometimes, like, electricity like that is like, don't matter how much you don't have a surprise on it. Like, we didn't, like Liverpool, they didn't have a surprise. You know what they're going to do, but guess what? You can't stop it.
But Arsenal, yesterday, Crystal Palace were defending on Martinelli with 2, on Saka with 2, even though when he tried to cut inside to his left foot, they had a couple more defenders. They were defending with everybody. Even Edouard was playing behind the ball most of the time. But again, this is what I said yesterday. I'm actually expecting more from Arsenal now in terms of like the individual. Like what Foden used to do, what PDB used to do. That's why Don mentioned Odegaard. You're like, now is the time to show your individual ability. The tricks out of the bag. You know what I mean? Like, it's not only about the system. Like, sometimes in these games, you will need someone to get something out of the bag and just does something crazy. Like the dribble that Izzy did inside the 18. How many players in the league will try to dribble 2 guys in front of them with Rice and Partey inside the 18? Izzy did it. I was expecting someone from Arsenal to do that, and they didn't.
It's true.
If it's instruction or it is people are scared to lose the ball because you know what I mean. Like some coaches, like Pep, tells you, I don't want risks. I want you to do what we trained on. Like, but I said Foden. People said that why you're comparing, because Foden takes the game sometime to on his shoulder and say, I'm doing it. I want Arsenal to do that. But he didn't do it yesterday. He was too conservative in terms of like dribbling, taking someone inside the 18. Every time he took the guy inside the 18, he's like, okay, no, I'm not going to dribble. I'm not going to take the risky option. I'm going to go back and keep the possession. That's why Arsenal in the first half had 70% possession. Nobody is willing to take the risk.
This is what Rory would take the 3 points. It was a penalty, though. Let's be real. It was a penalty.
We're analyzing what we were expecting. I was expecting more trickery from somebody, risk from someone, which is Martinelli did it once, and it worked. I think that was a very, very, like, if that was cut somebody inside the 18, it would have scored. He tried to cut it, it got blocked and went to a corner. But that's what I'm expecting from the wingers of Arsenal, from the Odegaards. You know what I mean? That's what I'm expecting.
Do you actually think it was a penalty, though?
Yeah, it was.
What?
Yeah, no, it was.
Eze.
Oh,
No, Eze, no, Eze, no.
Oh, the Arsenal
Nketiah,
one.
I thought you meant
Sorry, yeah.
the Arsenal one. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Eze, that was not a penalty.
I will
That's-
never get why keepers go out and dive like that. Like move your arms away. If you know you're not gonna get, like, quickly move your arms away. Maybe I just never understand why he thought he even needed to get that ball. He was going nowhere.
Nowhere near it.
Johnston,
His touch went straight out. Would have gone straight out for a goal kick.
Yeah.
It was
Decision
never-
making. It's all
Saka
about
needed-
decision
Saka
making.
needed to be taking that penalty for my FPL. Like it's like he
Yeah, me
knew
too.
that he's got people in the FPL and doesn't want to ruin their day. So
You
he
know,
let someone else take it.
What's that
I've
about,
got-
by the way?
I've got a feeling that Saka and Ødegaard might rotate between penalties. I think to try and reduce how predictable it is, because Arteta said that he had no idea Ødegaard was going to take it, which means they've not spoken about it, which is weird because Arteta's normally quite a control freak.
The only thing I've got is Martinelli assist. Whatever.
Yeah, luckily I had Ødegaard. But...
Lucky.
It's
man.
not Martinelli assist, is it? It's what's
Yeah,
his
it is.
name?
Martinelli threaded it. So
The one
Steve
who got the penalty is
It'll be
Eddie.
Eddie's
I think
assist.
The
Nketiah
assist.
gets the assist for winning.
It'll
the
be Eddie's
penalty.
assist.
Nketiah
Yeah.
gets the assist, not Martinelli. The one who
pretty
wins
sure
the
Eddie won
penalty gets the
the
assist.
he assisted the
Nah, because
penalty.
Eddie won the penalty. Eddie won the penalty, so he will get the assist.
Hey, let me check my FPL now because it's not looking healthy. I didn't want to look at it.
You got him worried now. You got him worried.
It will definitely be Eddie. It will definitely be Eddie that gets the assist.
But yeah, I think
But
with
Rory,
Saka,
do you want to see more?
Oh man,
I wanted
this
to ask you, do you want to see
thing,
more
man.
individual take-ons, individual brilliance from some of the players? Who are you like waiting to see?
Well-
It's your turn now. I want you to do something different than everybody else.
yeah, I think one player we're missing last season that did a lot of that was Gabriel Jesus, obviously. I think Saka did it a lot last year, but the thing is, at the moment, because no one is ever overlapping Saka, he can't square up a defender and potentially thread in the overlapping player, but potentially cut inside. So it's quite predictable that he's going to try and cut inside each time, and the same with Martinelli.
Limiting their
So-
game. You not noticed
It
last year, the back end of last season, how many people doubled up on Saka, and then obviously Ben White was a little bit more passive towards the end of the season as well. And you look at it this time, you double up on Saka, and he's like, okay, now it's down to Ødegaard to have a good game and find something. You know,
Yeah.
Martinelli, I think, is a little bit more direct. Well, he can get to the byline a little bit easier because he's just more. I think he's just got a bit more of electric in him. But then
Yeah.
Saka's got the better delivery. That's the only difference. But it kind of limits their game. That's all it is. And maybe it is to try shoehorn Havertz. And I see Jessica Black as well, even on Twitter, just saying like this, that, and the other about it all and having an honest opinion. It's just like, why are Arsenal fans scared to, have an honest opinion about it? Why do you have to always try to again shoehorn the shoehorn?
I'm not sure it's trying to shoehorn in Havertz.
Doesn't Trossard have this individual ability of dribbling, the through passing, the 1-2s, the trickery? I
He
thought
does.
this team, this game yesterday suited like Trossard.
Yeah.
It was like in small
Yes,
spaces,
same,
you need a Trossard.
He does, but with Havertz playing in midfield, I feel like a lot of people are kind of judging Havertz as if he's an attacker, which,
Yeah.
of course, he gets in. But like both of the games that we've played so far this season, Havertz has won more duels than anyone else on the pitch, and that defensive side, Trossard doesn't offer anywhere near as much. So you're kind of what you're giving up in Trossard in one sense, you're gaining a bit from Havertz in another. I don't think he's trying to shoehorn him in necessarily, but I would like to see Trossard start. I think it's very unlucky for
You got
Trossard.
something
not to
similar
start.
going on, man. My man's trying to
But,
shoehorn Mount. Your one's trying to do, your
So,
one.
Rory, do you know? I
million.
shared the stat. I shared the stat on Twitter, and I said it yesterday here, and I got a lot of hate. If you're playing as a midfielder, and you have in the first half only 11 passes, while everybody else around you on the pitch have 20 or more. Odegaard had 28, Saka had about like 25. Don't you think you shouldn't be a midfielder if you get only on the ball 11 times? And you should be, I'm sorry, Kai Havertz at Leverkusen was an attacking midfielder or a second striker or a winger. You're not playing Havertz for his defensive ability because you have Partey inverting, Rice there, you have 3 center backs, including Tomiyasu. Havertz should be getting more involved in the attacking option, especially when you have 70%. And when you have 11 passes only, just a second behind Nketiah, this is why I'm criticizing Arteta. The guy isn't getting involved in the game. He's not there when you have the ball.
Yeah, No, I can see it. But I'm still willing to give it time because I feel like Arteta must have a plan. One thing I would like to see more of, and I've always said I don't necessarily think we need to go out and buy like this world-class goal-scoring striker. But in terms of a different profile of striker, because of what we've just said with Saka and Martinelli not getting as much space, we've got so much space on the kind of corners of the box to put crosses in. And I feel like a different profile, a bigger striker, an Antony or something, would really benefit from that. And that's where I want to see more from Havertz as well. There were a couple of times yesterday where a cross went in, and you're like, Havertz should be making that run. Havertz should see that that cross is going to come in. He's 6'4". He should be making that run and getting on the end of it, and he's not done that. So, look, there's definitely more to come from Havertz, I hope. And otherwise, he needs to get dropped. But
I can't wait.
I actually agree with you. He should be dropped for now. Get some minutes.
But if you drop
in the second
him
half.
now, when do you bring him back in? Because this is
60
relatively.
Minutes. It can be on 60 minutes. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's not. Let's be honest. He's not.
Why does it? Well, if you drop him, doesn't mean they can play, Rory. If I drop a player, he can play as well.
Man,
you know what I mean?
Why you talk on this Mason Mount situation a little bit later as well? Like the way I think the club's taking a U-turn with plans and the way it's going to go. Because boy, I'm not saying he's a target, but this is the funny thing about my manager sometimes as well in the club. But yeah, man. Let me just do a couple of these. Beige and Red says, Cass and Panel, do you feel Alexis Red is rescinded? I mean, it should do. Has it been rescinded?
McAllister.
Yeah, that should definitely be rescinded.
That should be, man. That was a yellow.
After that horror show of last week's refereeing, I can't see it happening. I think they're just
so they can't do
brush
that.
it.
There were so many terrible mistakes in this game week that if they do that, everybody's gonna say, "What about my decision? What about this? What about me?" You know what I mean? Like everybody's gonna
ban there, right?
Like Michael Oliver, without giving that penalty, still no
straight red.
Tim Ream got a second yellow card for a non-existent penalty, and the game was over.
Tomiyasu, should that get overturned? Surely, I know you can't overturn 2 yellows, but that should get overturned. Surely, no.
Do you think?
That
Do you think
reference
a
sabotage
second?
the game.
Do you think a second booking VAR should be able to look at it?
100%. They should be able to say no. They put a yellow, and it looks like if it's that questionable, it should. That's the whole point of VAR. What's the point then? You're here to
I
make
think
the
they
law
should.
Because the law, a second yellow, because the law. Okay, if you start looking at the second yellow, the law will say it's a yellow card. You should be looking at the first yellow as well. That's the law. You know what I mean? Second yellow should be the same weight as the first yellow.
They love changing the law every year though and making it worse somehow.
They can change it. I actually think.
The point of calling it the clear and obvious errors.
Get rid of VAR anyway.
The thing is, a yellow card isn't exactly going to change the whole dynamic of the game, but a second yellow means a red card out of the game, meaning it's like holding your team to potentially get a victory or not. And the way I look at it, if it's a second yellow, you should go towards the screen then and say, you know what, I got it wrong. It's okay to say I got it wrong. These lot are just egotistical and they just can't stand that they're crap referees and we need the European.
I swear I've seen examples of like the ref where they've taken out a red and then they've done that and then made it a yellow.
Yeah,
you're
but
allowed
not
to do
in
that,
a second
right?
yellow. Not in a second.
Oh, not a second yellow, but you're allowed to do that for straight red, right? You're allowed to change it for straight red. Okay, yeah.
I noticed that some referees in English football have a attitude problem. Like the guy yesterday in the Arsenal, and this is just I'm just watching the game and I think
take much money off. That's it.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the guy yesterday. He wants to show authority, but you don't have authority, and you're giving yellows to people that shouldn't get yellows, and you're scared of big names. So I'm like, you're having an attitude problem. Same as Stuart Atwell. It's the same. Michael Oliver does the same thing. He likes to take authority only on. Yeah, I'm like, these people need personal training in terms of psychological training. It's not about refereeing decisions.
You know what? There's a new one. He looks like a thumb a little bit. The one that managed the Wolves game, the Man United Wolves game, he actually chats with the players and has a laugh and this, that, and the other, and they can seem to approach him. Some of the other lot, and I think there's another new one as well that seems quite approachable. But the other ones, I just find I don't know, like
yesterday, this guy for Arsenal. Like, who do you think you are, bro?
They just don't want to know, man, and that's just it. I think
guys, there's over 1,000 people here. Guys, there's over 1,000 people here. Get me to 500 like. The like button. We keep saying that the like button is the bread and the butter of this channel. This is how this channel grow and keep bringing you content. It looks like this. It's free underneath your live chat. Come on, don't be cheap. It's a free content and a free like button. Come on, let me do this. The problem. Which one did you do? You didn't do that.
No.
So thank you so much for the super chat. Tyus is saying The problem Martinelli has is that he dribbles with his head always down, and I don't think that style is effective against low blocks. Well, I don't think so, but yeah. Thank you for the super chat, but I think Martinelli
I
is
agree.
Martinelli.
No, I agree. That's wrong with his head down too much. But the difference is with Martinelli, he's got that goal scoring touch out of nothing, and that's the element why Rashford stays on against low blocks. Because guess what, he might score. You know, one shot is going to be more effective than most other people's shots because he's more clinical.
Yeah, but against a low block though, you want Martinelli to be running.
I can't lie.
Wide, not running centrally.
Yesterday, I'd probably had Martinelly up top for me. I would have dropped Nketiah. Other than that penalty win and that, I would have dropped it. After hitting that post, I'm hooking him off, mate. I can't lie.
Who do you think makes the ball? Who do you think makes the ball stick more though between them two? Because Eddie's quite good at making the ball stick.
No, you can
in comparison to Martinelli.
I think you could have put Trossard there as well. The thing is, I look at it like this. I saw Palace have a lot of the ball after a bit, and that's when I'll be putting. They're getting more confident, especially being 1-0 down. I think this is probably the best time to play Martinelli, by the way, and taking off Nketiah. But obviously, Tommy has happened, and that's the time to put someone as a pace merchant up front, and then Trossard, who's a bit more intricate in some of them passes to put him through. That's the way I look at it, and I think this is where I look at my manager sometimes and Arteta and think your in-game management stinks just as much as each other's because it's not that good.
I thought yesterday was quite good in the end.
He just threw on every defender that he could.
Sorry, who? Nketiah.
Arteta.
Arteta's sort of management yesterday.
I
thought it was quite good.
He had to throw on defenders. He was just
throwing hella, man.
But he brought on Zinchenko. He brought on Zinchenko and Jorginho, who aren't necessarily fantastic defenders, but we had a lot of possession after that, and we managed to hold on to the ball for quite a while. It took the momentum out of
Palace.
So
I thought definitely took the sting out of the game.
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry, go on.
AMT saying the lob Eddie tried was bad. He's not that technical enough. Why? Should be more direct. This is a super chat. If you're gonna play the system where you invert somebody and play Odegaard and Havertz behind the striker need to be inside the 18. Arsenal had 4 crosses yesterday. Can you imagine that? When you play a system where you have a number 9 inside, you have 4 crosses only in the game. I know that the guys are big, Crystal Palace, but just overload. But anyway, I get the miss, but I think the penalty was smart by him. The run was very smart by Eddie, to be honest. Very, very smart. John Red TV is saying Turney was the VAR ref for the Liverpool game. He clearly has an issue with Klopp and Liverpool. Listen, I don't think any referee has a personal issue with anybody, right? But the problem is just incompetent.
I'm not too fussed with Paul Tierney. I'll be real. Like I think he's okay. Like he actually talks sometimes. Yeah, he gets a bit of a bozo, like, but the thing is, you could probably say that for a lot of the referees. There's some refs that prefer other teams, and it's weird that most referees are from the north of England. Mike Oliver's a Geordie. A lot of the ones like Anthony Taylor from Manchester doesn't support United. Like
there's
the one
not a
yesterday,
single ref from London.
United fans straight out. Well, no, sorry, Cook, whatever his name is. Yeah, it's a lot. There's not a lot from South, which is kind of weird. And I think there's such a lack of diversity as well. And I can't lie, when you're from certain areas of England, where it's urban and that, a lot of the times when you look at the new age of ballers and stuff like that, they're from urban areas, and I don't think they know how to communicate a lot with the new kids, on the block. And I think that's a massive. Minus in the game at this moment of time. Sorry, Emmanuel, let me just do this and we move on. I think MA was getting ready, or Mikel Arteta was getting ready to bring on
Leonardo Trossard
before the red. Yeah, maybe, yeah. But yeah, man, let's move it on from the Arsenal chat. Let's go on to Chelsea. Hi. Hi, Greasy.
Have your fun, bro.
I mean, other than my bad spelling there, why did that change? Change that. Anyways, other than your loss, I haven't heard anything from you, Greasy. Like I've just heard hypocritical stuff like, how can you judge Chelsea's overreactionary? When it comes to Man United, it's like, we can judge them now. Being very, very critical of other people's performances, like Liverpool as well, because I think once might trigger something new. I just want to know, like, why is that the case for Chelsea and not any other team?
First of all, look, chat. Cass keeps misquoting me. First of all, he's calling me a hypocrite and all of these things. Yeah, and there's a big difference. there's a big difference between what my opinion on United and my opinion on Chelsea. I didn't say, fans aren't allowed to judge Chelsea from how we performed the other day. What I simply said is that the overreaction in losing to West Ham was a bit mad, right? And your words, Cass, here was, well, people overreacting because United aren't looking great and all of these things, yeah. But the difference here is that Chelsea have looked good in both of their games. And again, our main problem right now is finishing our chances, bro. We're not finishing chances. We're creating chances.
Why did you analyze Man United's first half where we can pass them 3-0?
But hold on. Let me finish, bro. Let me land because I let you land, yeah? You have no clear style of play. Chelsea now have a clear style of play. I'll get into it because I want to cook these
style of play because I
want to cook these lot. Yeah, let me finish the point about the hypocrite thing. Yeah, Man United. Yeah, Man United during preseason I wasn't convinced. The first 2 games I wasn't convinced either. Right, and you guys are just looking like out of the top 6. You're looking at the worst team right now. So for you to come out and start saying, "Oh, you can't judge us too much. It's only 2 games in," I hear it to an extent. You're right. It is only 2 games in, but what you're seeing, Cass, is a lot of hope. Because if he keeps that same midfield, it's going to carry on like that for the rest of the season.
It's cooking you, Cass.
If you keep that same midfield. The difference with us up against Liverpool, everyone can say that we were the better team. Up against West Ham, we looked good in parts. And we should have won that game if we buried our chances in the first half. Yes, against Spurs, you had a few chances here and there. But overall, you're looking like a pile of manure. Your team, Man United, right now are looking like shit, bro. Let's be real.
All right,
so
cool.
you
Don
Fernandes.
You can't call me a hypocrite because I'm liking what I'm seeing from my team. Yeah, away from the results right now. You're right. We should be winning these games. Yeah, we should have won against Liverpool and we should have won up against who was it? West Ham. Yeah, but listen, I'll rather be where I am right now with my 1 point and see something we can build from. In comparison to where you are with your 3 points, because there's nothing to bueld from with that.
Are you done? Yeah, because we're going to talk on Chelsea, innit? The difference is
first resistant Don Fernandes. Again at it.
So we talk about style of play, yeah, because you know when you go from playing like with what you've got in tools where you have to play counter-attacking football to try and change the system. That's what you do on a building block. That's how it works, Don. I don't know if you've noticed that in any shape, way, or form, like Pep did, like Arteta did, like what my manager's trying to do right now, yeah? Because the ones that try to play the football always fail. You say Chelsea's got a clear style of play. I can't lie. All I saw was possession. I saw a lot of possession and a lot doing nothing with it, right? And you still lost to 10 men and he still beat you 3-1. You know, the way I look at it is like, that's why I call him, it's called Graham Pochettino, innit? Like, what's the difference between Graham Potterball and Pochball then? Because all I saw was possession and 0 attack. Yeah, you go forward, but you do nothing with it. There were some decent crosses from Sterling, but nothing was there. So the way I look at your style of play is nothing different from what we already know. Barely anything in attack. At the back, he didn't even look as secure, you know, either. Like he was getting halved up by, you know, my man Antonio. Even sometimes with 5 at the back, it still didn't work. So I saw Graham Potter do 5 at the back. I also see you do 4 at the back, just like Potter. Guess what? Didn't work. So on that notice, what is the difference between your clear style of play and that style of play? Because you know what? When I look at that West Ham game and then I look at the game against Tottenham, is that there's loads of chances in the first half, but the same thing, they just couldn't finish. Difference is you got a bunch of new players. Difference with our team, when you think about it, only 2 new players have come in from that squad, and we've already bought 3. We haven't even got all the new squad players or new players on the pitch. You got a brand new team. You got a new shiny toy in up front. You got a shiny toy that had a disaster class. You got a 5.5 on SOFA score. So in 20 minutes, by the way. So that's the way I look at it. Pochettino, you know, whatever you want to call it, even I don't know, Graham Potter. I don't know what. There's no difference right now. And that is the reality. So as much as you're going to criticize my team, you have to criticize your own team. Because right now...
And I said that I'm going to cook them. I said I'm going to cook. I'm going to start for Poch. Listen. Pochettino annoyed me with that lineup.
Hey, you hear that? You hear that? Pochettino.
Pochettino. Poch annoyed me with that. Poch annoyed me with that lineup, yeah, because Cass, all preseason we played with a back 4 and we were looking really fluid with all these new players, yeah. We were scoring goals. We're looking a lot better than what we were looking like the other day, right? Up against Liverpool, I understood why he went to a back 3. He wanted to pack out that midfield because Casado wasn't there, Lavia wasn't there. It is where it is. You've got to do what you've got to do. But I'm sorry, up against West Ham, yeah, who are probably the best team when it comes to the low block in the league, average height of 6'2". Why are you playing a defensive formation and taking away an attacker? This is a team that we should have been on the front foot from the beginning. Do you get it? We should have gone to a back four up against this team. There was no need to play three at the back up against West Ham, in all honesty, because all West Ham do is hold back, defend that block, and then they just lob it up to Antonio, and he does what he does for that second goal. That's literally all West Ham do. There was no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was effective. It worked, but we played right into their hands. You know, the first half we were moving the ball too slowly, but then we grew into the game. I'd say probably the first, half an hour of the first half, Cass. We were creating quite a lot of chances. Enzo Fernandez alone, he created 4 chances in that game. But we didn't bury them. We missed that penalty as well. So when we came out in the second half, it just got worse. It kind of looked like we were improvising. We ran out of ideas. I wasn't seeing no clear style of play. It was shit. And after that Carney injury as well, we kind of lost that connector between the midfield and the attack. And then we brought on Mudryk to play in that 10. And you guys can see that Mudryk's not a 10. Do you know what I'm saying? He went on the left for a little bit towards the end when we took off Chilwell. But listen, Poch needs to go back to just basics, man. Go back to the back four that we saw in pre-season, the fluid back four that we saw up against Luton, because we need to start scoring goals now, man. Like that back three, it just didn't work. It did not work.
All I saw was a French Maguire. I saw a French Maguire up in that bitch.
Bro, he was looking.
Imagine this. Maybe
he was looking like.
Maybe if you saved 150 million on a guy and got just content with somebody else, you could have got another attacker that you needed just as much. You're going to get Lavia anyway. What's the point of Lavia? Let's be honest. What is the point of Lavia? I thought Andre Santos.
What's the point of Lavia?
I thought Andre Santos was meant to be the next best thing, but no, you didn't. You got the same guy who's the same age to come in and do the same job. So the way I look at it is like you could have bought some attackers, but your club hasn't.
Is it a worry, Don? Is it a worry that you've spent $1 billion and you don't have a goal scorer?
I mean, if you look at the market right now, it's the same problem for everyone. United had to go out and get an unproven striker. We've obviously done the scouting and got Jackson. The jury's out with him. It's only been 2 games, but we need to see what we do with him going forward. But the market's thin, Rory. Right now I'm only looking at Tony and Osimhen as proper bagsmen that are going to guarantee you goals. Apart from that, even Vlahovic, there's a question mark on him as well. So I get what people were saying, but it's not like the market is full of strikers everywhere. Like the market's thin up there. So we just kind of have to trust what they're doing with Jackson and hopefully bring someone else in and see what we can do there. But I'm not liking these Balogun links. Like I said yesterday, I'm not convinced by it. I'm not going to say by the way. They're getting stronger and stronger, man. It looks like something's going to happen there. So if they bring him in and he proves me wrong, I'll be happy because I want players to prove me wrong. But I'm not for that move. I'd rather us just stick with Broja for now. And then try go and get Tony in January. But as it stands, I'm not convinced with Brennan Johnson, with Balogun, these sort of links. It sounds like it's a bit panicky central right now, So, yeah, man, we just kind of have to see. Like, the chances are there. There's something to build from. We haven't even seen our strongest 11 yet, in all honesty. We haven't seen Casado start. We haven't seen Lavia start yet, So there's more to come. Yeah, but Cass, what is there to really look forward to right now in your midfield,
bro? We talk about balance. You want to talk about balance and your best 11 and all this kind of stuff, but you can clearly see within Man United is also imbalance as well, my brother. That's the difference. Like,
so what? You're gonna bring in Eriksen or Christian?
But it provides balance. That's what I'm trying to say. We ain't even seen what the striker does or Marcus Rashford, where he gets all his output off the left. Like, things ain't happened yet. I can admit, Man United are stinky, bro. But all I ask for, if you're going to say one thing about one team, then you're going to have to say the same kind of thing.
No, you're right.
Another. So this is why you're called Don Hypocrite. That's what I'm just saying.
No. But the thing is, though, yeah. Listen, your manager has got a clear record of being stubborn. This is the thing, Cass. You can't trust Ten Hag yet to change things around because this guy just. If it's his way or no way, do you get it? So right now, you're trusting your manager to make these changes that you want to see happen. We have to see if it happens.
So basically, Don, my 3 pins about Chelsea is that you change your style of play, you have the ball, it looks okay, it looks fluid, looks good, but it's the problem we said before. Too many youngsters, no experience. I thought that Pochettino would play 4 in the back, have wingers and stuff. He doesn't. Play 3 in the back. He's forcing Thiago Silva, to be honest, on the pitch. This is what I think. I think maybe Disasi and Colwell are too young. Like, Disasi is 9, he's 26 years old. You should be able to play with Colwell at 4 in the back. Colwell played the whole season last year with Brighton as 4 in the back, and he was okay, right? In a progressive team that has the ball all the time, press. So he should be able to do it. So I'm thinking that Pochettino is working with what he has, which is a problem. You need to get what you want, what you have, and try to force a style of play, especially in your first season when I know there is pressure, but again, I'm seeing a lot of Malagusto, for example. You had 4 defenders on the pitch against a team that played low block. You don't need that much. You know what I mean? You don't need that much. So he's like trying to force players in. Raheem Sterling looked good, but lacks final product. And I'm holding Raheem Sterling.
He was wicked though, man.
Yes, so let me.
He was creating some good chances, bro.
Guys, he was penetrating, dribbling people, crosses, going to the goal, crosses. What's his name? I don't know. I can't remember the goalkeeper's name. Easy.
Areola.
He's a beast.
I think Raheem Sterling maybe needs to get at the end of things instead of creating things, because I saw the penetration, I saw the runs, but again, the final crossing,
Who's going to create for him then?
Well, I don't know, but that's what I told you, Don. That's what I told you. The creativity isn't there. It's Enzo trying to play some passes. He isn't a 10. He isn't the Odegaard. He isn't Saka. He isn't Foden. He isn't.
I don't agree with that statement that you made, Omar. I don't agree. I don't agree with that statement about Sterling, because Sterling was a creative outlet for City. Like that was a throwback to the City performances, like whipping it in. Like I said, Enzo Fernandez, he created 4 chances on his own, bro. Like Sterling,
I thought he was scoring goals, Don, but that's at City. Sterling.
Yeah, no, he was scoring and he was assisting. He was creating as well. Like, we can't just depend on one player to create these chances. Saka, how many chances does he create? Martinelli, how many chances does he create? And when we spoke about Martinelli earlier about a low block, I think Sterling played perfectly for a low block. He was running at them on the wing.
I agree with that. I never said anything about that. I said yes, but I think the crossing was supposed to be better. The final pass was supposed to be better. That's what I mean. I actually said he was wicked in terms of dribbling, driving at the teams, penetrating that back line. But that final cross, that final cut back, sometimes it was too rushed.
Yeah, but that doesn't come down to him. I think that comes down to now where there's a Chukwuemeka off the pitch, or Chukwuemeka. I think that's.
I thought Chukwuemeka looked better. To be honest, I thought.
Yeah, but I feel like now they don't have it for 6 weeks. Now they lack an attacking threat going forward. You know what? See Papa Sarr, right, against Man United, evident. Just a player gambling in the box and running into the box in case something. We see Bruno Fernandes do it plenty of times over this past season.
Who have we got for that? We had Nkunku for that, bro. We had Nkunku, and now he's injured.
Someone behind Jackson who took away a defender, someone should be there. That's not down to Sterling. That's just down to maybe, I don't know, the lack of profile. But this is what I mean. You bought so much potential rather than buying what's good now. Yes. And that's the thing with Chelsea. I think you went wrong in terms of some direction. But then again, you did buy Nkunku for now, not a potential. And you did get an unfortunate injury. But you need a little bit more of that. And I'm pretty sure you're going to buy something in the next, 10 days, less 9 days. There's someone, at least one attacker. You need one attacker. I think your wing play's fine, but you can't be playing Mudryk in a 10. That's shocking.
I mean, listen, we were looking at some Premier League experience in Olise. Obviously, that didn't work out. Apparently, our main priority right now is to get a 10 that can play on the wing as well. So don't be surprised if you see more Kudus links. Cherky maybe. We'll see what happens there. But like I said, listen, it's only the second game in. I know people right now have question marks about the firepower, same as me. But this is something that they'll have to review. Hopefully work on it in training, and then we move from there. That's why I'm saying Luton is a massive, massive opportunity to show people that, listen, yes, you guys have question marks about our firepower, but we can actually bury these chances. That's why I made the comment I did at the beginning. I'm
not going to use Luton as a what's the word, Mo? As a
benchmark. Luton, Bournemouth.
It's not a benchmark, but you want us to have a convincing win by a good margin is the point that I'm making. Like, I'm not gonna just ignore it because it's Luton. Like, end of the day, we lost to West Ham, so it's the Premier League. It's the Premier League.
You beat what's in front of you. I get what you're saying, Don. You beat what's in front of you. These are the three games.
You need Eze more than
we need to build confidence in front of goal, and Luton is a good way of doing that.
Yeah,
I'd rather put it this way. I'd rather be playing Luton right now than playing Newcastle.
Man City, that's what you're playing in the midst of the table, isn't it?
So, battle of the mids. Mohammed is saying, DJ is saying, typical cast deflection, United being crap. Except we talk about United. He's not.
He did say they've been bonging, to be fair.
DJ.
You know what it is, yeah? Special one and DJ, yeah. I noticed these two Chelsea fans goes through one ear and out the other. And apparently I'm emotional, like, or something like that. But then he's talking like a bad bee in the comments, like, what Don was doing in the group chats and stuff. Typing in cat, typing very fast. It's like, relax, bro. Like, I don't shoot
the big piece.
This guy, I saw Maradona the other day as well. Yeah, sorry, Mo. He said, speak on Enzo's inability to break down the defense. bro, the guy created 4 chances. And if you remember that little lob chip that he did to Sterling, Sterling fluffed it. The guy was creating and doing what he had to do. After he missed that penalty, he kind of lost confidence a bit. But Enzo's creating chances. You're just not watching closely. That's what it is.
Do you want honesty? People are like clinging into stuff. Every player in the world misses penalties. It doesn't matter. I will never judge a player. What do you know? It doesn't matter. Listen, Don. It doesn't matter. By the way, it doesn't matter. Roberto Baggio missed penalties.
No, I'm not getting onto him too much.
Messi misses penalties.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so Mo telling lies last night. Havertz 29. I like that you called him Havertz 29. Lost all the duels. You're lying because I never said that. You're lying. You just like to lie. So go back and rewind the tape and tell me that I'm lying. Disingenuous re-scorer Nkunku is injured. Come on now. About who?
I said they'd spent $1 billion and not bought a goal scorer, and I guess Nkunku is a goal scorer.
And then Nkunku played as a 10. But anyway, he's a goal scorer. He's supposed to be a goal scorer. But
I told you play 10, Mo, not 9.
Which is wrong. I still think that
but to be
he's the one that should play at up top cast. Look at Jackson.
No.
Jackson is more of a
Nah. Jackson and Kuku were linking up in pre-season, bro. Like proper.
So who
is right? He's right-footed.
Jackson. Who's the
Can't lie, man. Just put him on the left, man. Put Jackson on the left and Nkunku up front, maybe. That could be a big problem solver potentially for Sterling. But then again,
Nkunku's injured now, so that's out of the question.
Yeah, maybe.
He's not back till January as well. So
Jackson's sick, by the way. But yeah.
Big
Murad, Don, what do you think about Petrovic? Another 7+1.
So we've brought in this keeper, this new guy called Petrovic, to give a little bit of competition to Sanchez.
Serbian.
Yeah, Serbian guy. Listen, I haven't even done. To be honest with you, I've watched a few clips. He looks like a good shot stopper. I don't know much about him. So if anyone wants to educate me on him,
why 8 years? Why?
Todd Bowley. This is the model he's going with. It's Todd Bowley.
No, but this has nothing to do with amortization now. Like you cannot.
I don't know who the hell are New England Revolution. Never heard of him, but it is what it is, isn't it?
I think this guy replaced Matt Turner when we signed Matt Turner from England Revolution.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. If anyone wants to educate me on him, go ahead. But I don't know anything about him.
LFC skip to my loose saying LFC left out of the squad. F failed to score a penalty. C conceded the penalty. Who are you talking about? I don't know which player.
He's talking about
Fernandez. Who's Lavia?
Lavia Fernandez.
I've seen this same joke all over Twitter.
Mo, you cannot make definitive statements after 2 games, of course, but this is only the sample we can analyze. What do you want me to do?
I did feel
we can just end the show then, DJ. Just end the show. We'll just say, 2 games. We cannot judge. Come back next week.
I did feel like some Chelsea fans overreacted to the draw against Liverpool. There was a bit too much excitement for the 1-1 draw against Liverpool. Because when you look at Bournemouth against Liverpool, I mean, Bournemouth created more chances than Chelsea did, and Liverpool could have gone 2-0 up against Chelsea quite easily. But then. Yeah.
I didn't overdo it against Liverpool. I was just happy that I was seeing something.
What?
I was just happy that I was seeing something.
Okay,
you explain how I overdid it. Mo, hold on. Mo, you explain how I overdid it. You tell me how I overdid it.
You were so happy as you won the game, bro.
I saw progression. Oh,
bro, why can't I be happy that I'm seeing my team progress? I'm moving in the right direction.
I get
you guys have a different
Rory's
you guys have a, you know, clutch, yeah?
Rory's saying
you guys have
you
a
overdo
different
it,
definition.
right? Rory's saying
Okay,
Rory's saying you overdo it, right? You overdid it. And we're saying you guys were really over the top. You're so happy that you saw progression, which is like this is expected. It should be predicted. This should be the bare minimum, but you didn't win the game.
Mo, we was in the trenches last year. It is not expected, bro.
Yeah, but Don,
we went through the. Listen, I was going games away. I had to say, listen, I'm not going no more, until Potter gets sacked. That's how bad it was, bro. So let us have a little, you know what I'm saying? Let us have a little, enjoyment.
We are. It's just you guys like really celebrate it as it's like you thrashed Liverpool.
Chelsea are not in unknown position. You're 15th right now, my guy. Come on, we're only 3 places above you. We're both in the mud.
We're both in the mud. I've got Casado, Lavia, and Enzo in my midfield. Who have you got?
I don't know. I like how you did that because we're about to talk on that right now. So Man United have been linked, and Liverpool as well have been linked with Gravenberch. Obviously, Gravenberch is rejecting Liverpool for us because why wouldn't you? But again, look, I like Gravenberch, and I know he's 21 and everything, and he's probably what Man United need. He's probably more of an upgrade on Eriksen. That's probably a like for like replacement for Eriksen when you deep it, but it's not the profile we need right now, and I don't get it. Unless you're gonna go get Amrabat. Look, so the rumors are that, and it sounds too much sense, would transform Man United's midfield, and you won't be laughing no more. But the thing is, can you trust the board to go and do that or anything along the lines? As a United fan, probably not. They're saying like Fred's gone, so why is there no replacement for Fred? And then now you're looking at Van der Beek's loan deal, which is taking time. I don't know why, and you have to let that go through. And I'm pretty sure that loss against Tottenham sparked a big reaction from Ten Hag and everything else. But I don't know what you guys make out of Gravenberch, a loan deal with an obligation to buy for something like 20 odd million. But do you lot rate him, or you probably ain't seen enough of him, or it's just probably not exactly Man United should be going for, like a profile?
I've just not seen enough of him. Obviously, I saw bits of him at Ajax before he went to Bayern and looked very good, very promising. And Bayern have a very, very good midfield, so you could argue he's not maybe had as many chances there because of that. But it's one of those. At the start of the window, I don't think you'd have been looking at it, and the fact that the season's already started, we're already kicking into nearly game week 3, and you're looking at bringing him in on loan. It's clearly not Plan A, and I just don't know why you've not got Amrabat done. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but you're crying out for Amrabat.
Yeah, I look at it like this now. This is where a little bit of criticism has to go to my manager. So Pellistri is rumoured to go out on loan to a Premier League club. I don't know who yet, but he's got a lot of offers to go out on loan, and it's looking likely so he get minutes. I don't understand. I'll just rip up Antony's contract tomorrow and say, we missed out on 85 million. It is what it is. So I look at it like that, and I think like if that's the case, Pellistri going out on loan all of a sudden. By the way, because if it was going to be done, why wouldn't it have been done 10 days ago or something like that? I got a feeling he's going to end up moving Mason Mount out wide to fill that position when need be. And that's what's going to make room for another centre mid. And that's when I look at Gravenberch to make sense. I've just thought about it and I couldn't believe it. And I'm just thinking he's going to use him outright. Because I think he's had enough of Antony. I've had enough of Antony. I think even if it is 2 games, he ain't had a good preseason either. And he's just not good enough. And anyone here in the comments, anyone here in the panel can say Antony is just not the standard at all, and maybe it's too harsh to judge after 12 months or so, but I haven't seen progression, man. And we keep doing this thing as fans in general. You find a player that has, I don't know, potential to do something. And I know he's only 23, 22 and all this kind of stuff, but we always do this to players. Oh, but he did this today. He done that today. Oh, he worked hard. Oh, yeah, he beat the player a couple times. Why is the bar on the floor? For anyone, it's how we used
to justify Pepe for a long time. He does remind me a lot of Pepe, and eventually the man, Arteta, pretty much as soon as he can, sent Pepe out on loan, and he hasn't been back in the squad since. But it's difficult when you spent that much money, and obviously Arteta didn't buy Pepe, so he could kind of say, "Well, it's not my signing, it's not my problem." Whereas
this is the thing, Rory.
This is a massive Ten Hag signing, so it's difficult for him.
Cass, I know you don't like Antony, and you love to slander him there, which is fair enough because he's not.
I love to slander him. It's only this week. I'll be real.
Okay, fairs. But I don't listen. Ten Hag, honestly, do you think he's gonna drop him?
I mean, you know what? If sometimes big decisions are needed, and for them to get going again, you need to be dropped, mate, and buck up your ideas and work in training. You have to do it regardless. Otherwise, the ball's controlling. Yes, you might get one wrong. But no manager ever gets every single signing right. And this one, and I think there was even questions before he came in, is he explosive enough to really beat a man? I think people rate him due to his pace on FIFA. Ultimate
and
team.
the skills, bro. And the skills, the little clips that we've seen of the skills and that. Do you get it? But listen, what does that mean for Sancho then? If you're saying that Mason's going to move to the right, are you saying that Sancho's going to be third choice on the right?
I think Sancho needs to be given a chance for sure. And especially... I pretty much think Martial will start this weekend against Nottingham Forest, but I got a feeling Sancho will go out wide, and it would make way more sense. But he has to be dropped. His defensive duels and tracking back was great and everything, but you just can't be having that. Like, I'm not here to have 80 million start on the field to track back. Anyone be slaughtering players that are forward players that can't do nothing in attack. And the only fair point I can give him is the fact that he's got no striker to give it to, or to finish off chances. Because 1 assist, 2 assists, they curtain everything else. And that's the only thing I can give him and say that he's not played with a striker yet. That's it.
I don't get why he doesn't like taking it to his like to like taking it quite wide and taking it on the outside, because he's quite quick. He's not slow. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe he just doesn't trust it. Maybe he just doesn't trust his right foot. I think that's what the main problem is, because he loves to take it on the inside every single time. You know, he loves that Robin shot, or he would just try to play it in behind, like pop it in behind in the midfield there and move like that. He never really wants to take it wide, and it's so frustrating to watch, because I'm like, bro, you're quick. Like, just take it wide and whip it in. But he doesn't seem to want to do it after a year of him being here. So that's a problem. That's a problem, Cass.
Well, what do you think that will happen to Man United's midfield anyways? Because they can't continue like this. Yeah, you might play Forest, who you can outplay. You know, don't get me wrong, Morgan gives White's the only great thing that they got going on in their midfield. But the fact that we're having this conversation, that it's not far off in terms of technical ability from both sides, speaks volumes. So does Gravenberch come in, and do you think it takes them to another level?
I'm gonna echo Rory, bro. Like, why not Amrabat? Listen, Gravenberch is good. He's very good, but I still think he's very young to be the one who's coming in to make that difference. You know what I mean? Like, this is Manchester United. Like, it's a very good signing for Man United, I think, for the future, because you'll get rid of McTominay, you'll get rid of Van de Beek, Eriksen will go, so you'll need a Gravenberch at some point. You will. Okay, that's a given. It's a great signing for you. Even if it's a loan with obligation to buy, it's a fantastic signing. But I'm talking about this season, he isn't enough. You'll need both. You'll need Gravenberch and you will need Amrabat. You'll need two midfielders, because it doesn't look like he's counting on McTominay. Van de Beek is out of the picture. You'll need both. You cannot continue this. You're 4 competitions. One of them is Champions League. I think the one that provides balance to that midfield is Amrabat. Gravenberch can be off the bench, can be very, very good, actually. But to put the same thing we say about Chelsea, to put all the weight on someone's shoulders, 21 years old, that hasn't played enough. He played only 600 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, all of last season at Bayern Munich. That's not a lot, right? Like 600 minutes, that doesn't even equate to 10 games total, right? That's not enough to come to the Premier League, hit the ground running, and try to lead a midfield who has a lot of holes. You need someone with experience internationally like Amrabat. And has like European experience, Amrabat as well, played in Serie A, played against big teams, and is in, week out in a progression team. That's what I think. Gravenberch, fantastic signing, but he isn't the answer. Do you think he's the answer?
Next to Casemiro, defensively okay, much more of a better profile than Eriksen, can definitely shift his body about. I wouldn't say he's the strongest player ever as well, but he knows where, you know, his playmaking skills are second to none. That's the difference. And that's what you get. And I think Gravenberch, you know, we judged him on Bayern when he hasn't had a lot of time, but Ajax he was thriving at 19 years of age, you know, and I think...
So was Van de Beek.
I just got a feeling...
Is that a bit of a concern, though, Cass, that he's going back again to an old player
This is what I'm saying. But if you think of the eights of playmaking, I'd rather have went out for Florian Wirtz, but that's too expensive, right? But the way I look at it is, again, it's another player that he's worked with, you know, that he knows. And it's kind of annoying that the fact that is that down to Ten Hag, or is that down to Man United scouting being absolutely crap because he doesn't agree with any of these profiles? And now that Mason Green was definitely gone, that means there's another spec, because they were going to include him. Remember, originally, let's not get it twisted that Man United doing this, this righteous thing or not. That means there's another space for an attacker. That's why I think Mason Mount gets moved out there or used. Or you know, when you're on the board, you have second positions and everything, and the fringe players is rotational. I think that's what's going to be the case. I think he's already realized that he's made a mistake. It's not going to work.
I think as of this summer, he's literally got all the control when it comes to transfers. You look at Onana, you look at Mason. Obviously now you link to Gravenberch. That's definitely Ten Hag that wants to sign.
We yet to see what we're going to get with Højlund
as well. You know, but so
that's what I say, man. Look, the thing is, Man United can go win. Let's say they even get a draw against Arsenal. Let's say they do beat Brighton. Let's say they do. This is all ifs. This conversation we're having now, we're going to be calling him a genius in the end. That's how quick football can change ideas of people and thoughts.
I'd say the worry for United is just that you do things too slowly in the transfer market. Like, the season's underway, everyone's up and going, and it's the start of last season. You spent 150 million on Casemiro and Antony, and in reality, they should probably have cost 100 million between them.
How much?
100 million for Antony and Casemiro, I'd say.
I'm pretty sure we paid 60 million for Casemiro.
Maybe it's 140 million, maybe in total. But either way, it was.
You're not far off. I'm thinking Antony. Yeah, Antony was expensive.
It's like 82
Yeah, you lot,
and
because he didn't pay
68
that
or
early.
something.
It's
Yeah.
expensive, yeah.
But either way,
Mhm.
that was a lot of money, and
Panic
it took them
buy.
a bit of time to hit the ground running as well, which cost you early in the season, which is happening again now. And it's like, are you going to go out and panic buy again at the end of this window and spend more than you should do, and then
They
have
will.
that issue again in a year? Or you go out and get a lone player that, you know, Gravenberch doesn't massively upgrade the team, will take time to settle in. Suddenly you're like 6-7 games into the season, and you've probably dropped points by that
James
time.
Ward-Prowse massively upgrades this team. That's the difference.
You're on your knees, brother. Your brother's starving. You starving, Cass. You lot should have gone in for Madison, man. That would have been a good
I
signing.
don't like Madison's work off the
No.
ball. I don't like his work off the ball. I'll be real.
Listen,
This is why another
quality,
team ain't going through, man.
Nah, man.
Be
Madison
honest,
would have been a better
I
signing
think
than
you'll
Mason.
have to raise your hand and say it was a bad signing. That's it. Mason.
Yeah. So Mason Mount will be a bad signing, but if you're gonna say he's going to be a utility player that can do a job, I'll say 50 million, 55, whatever it is, well spent. Then if he does his job as a utility player, but as a starter, no chance.
Yeah, but the thing is though,
50 million these days, nothing.
Like Mo was saying, I remember the conversations when you lot brought in Mason. Obviously, I was saying it as well. Like you lot have to bring in quality around him. Obviously, some United fans were saying why we're bringing him in first. Fair enough. It doesn't mean that that's your priority signing if you're bringing him first. But now, like Mo said the other day on the terrace, it's not looking good. You know, you've brought in Mason and you haven't brought anyone else in. So
well, I wouldn't call Amrabat as a panic signing because we've been scouting him for a while and everything. It's just taking
for a
long.
while, bro. Like
how long, Mo?
Gravenberch would definitely be a panic loan, you could say, to fill in a gap. And
Cass, let me ask you a question. Do you think that you're only going to bring in Amrabat if you manage to get rid of Scott? And who else is there? Donny as well? Or
no,
what's the delay? What's actually holding it up? I don't get it.
Fred went, so there's definitely a space there. They can't tell me either or in it. There's not a space. The way I look at it with Man United is that now Greenwood's now, because he was a part of the squad and now he's not, then that means there's more space. And that's why I think there's a shift towards that, looking towards the midfield, right? And now Pelestri might go on loan and it's looking more than likely now. So there's even more space. And I think he's just looking at it like, get the attackers that we got now, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Mount, Antony, Højlund, Martial. That's enough, right? And then he looks at the midfield and says, Mount can fill in spaces there if need be. And then maybe that's why he's looking at now. There's rumors of 2 midfielders coming in because there's 2 spaces. If Van der Beek goes, there's definitely 2 spaces in that squad. So that's the way I look at it anyways. But nothing else, nothing more. It needs to hurry up and happen because I'm sick of this midfield. And instantly you get a bit of control. Instantly, Amrabat and Gravenberch, you got a lot more control. A lot more control. And it's just, we'll see what goes on from there. You know?
What's your thoughts on Cass? I know he's getting slandered right now. Obviously, big up Staffy. Staffy says that Saudi, if they come in, you lot should sell him. What's your thoughts on Cass?
Staffy's just an idiot and he's reactionary, innit? Like myself, but then I get more level-headed and he probably drives on with it. And Staffy can talk a good game. Whether he watches this or not, I don't give a shit. But I like the guy as well. Like we do talk, to be fair, he's a good character. He's not finished. I think we've left him out to dry a little bit in terms of trying to play him in a role. Like people say, oh, Casemiro it's not unknown for him to do this role. He's been doing it. No, because the team's midfield compared to, you know, the attack is so far away from each other. It gets a bit disjointed and you got weaklings like Mason Mount, where you think like Eriksen even provides more of a job because he doesn't go into areas like that. I just look at it like it's just, he can still, Casemiro's never like been alone. You know, Toni Kroos has always been in and around him, or Modric was always in and around him. And he's that sort of character that you need to play in and around him. But to put him by himself to think he's gonna, you know, play that amazing pass, it's not gonna happen, is it?
But
and
bro, he played.
If you're gonna criticize anyone, you'll have to criticize Ten Hag. But then again, you have to look at Casemiro and say you don't always have to go in for that jewel. You know, you can stay on your feet and close off a gap. But I say this all the time. I've seen it twice now. It takes Casemiro a few games to get going properly, you know.
I agree with what you're saying to an extent, because up against Wolves there was a massive space. I was saying this to Staffy the other day. I think the instructions for Mason was, listen, we need to be on the front foot. We're at home, you know, be that extra attacker. But against Spurs, I saw Mason playing in that pivot and he was quite reserved. He was playing next to Casemiro, and even with that support next to him, he was still getting beaten a lot by Bissouma, Maddison. They were skipping past him.
Once a game's gone in their favor and it's looking kind of hard to, you know, get into the game itself, you know, it's hard to come back out of that regardless of who goes next to you. It's like Caicedo, when he come on, it still was hard for you to get going again because he hasn't had that warm-up himself to get going in terms of controlling the way he usually does. And that's and that's the what they call momentum, people.
I don't think Carlos is finished. I don't think Cass is finished, but I'm watching him closely. I'm watching him closely.
We're watching your £150 million signing. Don't you worry.
Don't worry, he's gonna come good, bro. He's gonna come good.
I listed all his mistakes. Let me just do these last super chats. Mr. BP says, I'm gonna prove you said that. Shout out to Daps. I think that's towards Mo.
I'm waiting.
AMT says, could it be his ex-wife's problem affecting him?
Who's his girlfriend, innit? Antony.
Oh yeah, there's some mad stuff going on with that kind of stuff. I thought it already got dismissed. Sounds like a payday to me. LJ Brown says, problem is a lot of your players want to stay, Cass. Yeah, man, this is the Ed Woodward regime, man. You know.
You better put up Roms's comment as well. Big up Roms when you see it right there.
It's not hard to get going, Cass. Endo came in and did well. I mean, you was already winning like 3-1, brother. That's a Fico comment, you know that. You're 3-1 up. You're not 2-0 down. Come on, man. But yeah, make sure you smash a like on the video. With 60 away from 500 as well. Big up to everyone that's here. Big up Greasy for jumping on. Big up Rory. I think it's a good panel on a Tuesday. And big up Mo. We're gonna be back tonight at I think 8 o'clock. So not far off. Do you want to say something, Mo?
Is there any football today?
No. So yeah, man. So big up yourselves, and yeah, we'll be seeing you in about 5 or 6 hours in a bit.